Hello, welcome to Politics 9, Season 2, Episode 6. It should be a good episode today. We've got lots to talk about. I mean, we haven't done one of these now for approaching 2 weeks. It might be exactly 2 weeks. Basically, I forgot about it last week. I was a little bit busy. In fairness, because I tend to work evenings, I had quite a lot of shifts last week. I did 4 shifts, and normally I average about 2. So I genuinely was busy.
Well, you know, so 0 hours contracts that the Conservatives are trying to get rid of. That's the, you're on one of them. You're on an exploitative 0 hours contract, I might add.
Well, sort of, but then I get free Diet Coke at work, so...
Free cancer! Yay!
Yeah, but I mean, it's less sugary than regular Coke, but it's still got that same great taste. So if you're listening, Coca-Cola, send us a crate this way, because that was advertising. So,
Don't we have to say we're being sponsored to advertise stuff on YouTube now? But to be honest with you, I don't think we've got enough followers to do that.
We're never gonna hit that target. Also, no, Coca-Cola, if you are listening, don't skimp. Send us the glass bottle ones, yeah, because they're the better. So.
No, I'm definitely with you on that one. Definitely tastes better out of a bottle.
Yeah, and don't mess around with those little glass 160 milliliter bottles. They're a complete joke. If you were sending Coca-Cola, if you were sending it to Smurfette and Papa Smurf, maybe, but not for a full-size human. That's just not on. Anyway,
I do feel like a giant every time I go on a plane and ask, "Yes, I'll have the Coke, please." Yes, just because I'm responsible and I don't drink on planes, and I get handed this bottle of Coke which is about that big, and I just think, "That it?"
Yeah.
I know it's complimentary, but that's skimping a little bit. And then if you get those little cans as well, like 150 milliliter cans at that tall,
terrible.
And you think, hang on a second, mate, I've paid £2.50 for this on an EasyJet flight. But you're taking me to the cleaners, mate.
Exactly. I mean, there'd be an appropriate size for like Action Man or Barbie or something, but. Anyway, we should talk about politics and celebrity gossip. Because that's what the whole podcast is about. Not us trying to get free stuff, which is never going to happen.
We don't have enough people to plug free stuff. We don't. We're not. I'll tell you what. This is a really good segue into our conversation topic, or one of our conversation topics. We're not FIFA. We can't just get free stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would be well open to taking 95 million in bribes. I mean, unfortunately, since watching it on the news today, I should say A, an alleged 95 million, and B, I've forgotten if that's dollars or real money. But I mean, even $95 million I would take. That's still a reasonable amount of money. That's enough.
What about 25 million yen?
No, because yen's like about, isn't it roughly 1 to 1,000?
Something
The
like
exchange
that, yeah.
rate, yeah. I mean, $95 million would be enough to buy your own one-bedroom flat in central London.
I know.
You could get on a property ladder.
And you wouldn't have to rent it either, and you'd only need to get a 50% mortgage on it. Great.
Yeah, government's right to buy scheme really helped you out there. Which is, of course, something which has been in the Queen's speech today. So look at that. That was actual good.
Wait, we are rocking the segues at the moment.
I know. Maybe they should send us some free ones in as well. Anyway, Queen's speech 2015. I mean, I did have to agree with some of the sort of more left-wing anti-austerity stuff I saw on Facebook today. There is some irony in announcing welfare cuts from a chair made of gold, which is what the Queen has to do. Now, I appreciate it's not her writing it. She's literally just reading it.
I do appreciate the irony as well. When you sit there with like a ridiculous robe on you, a crown.
Oh, ridiculous! What about that? That's bang on trend for monarchy.
The poor people will get poorer. It doesn't really ring true about this whole one nation, one government thing that Conservatives are trying to go for. It just shows we're in power, suck it, essentially.
Yeah. Although, equally on the other hand, even if a Green Party had won and we were, wearing Hessian sacks, we would still be being told that it's good that we're wearing that from a chair made of gold.
Yeah,
I mean, arguably, from a more politically neutral point of view, that chair made of gold wasn't bought by the last government or even the Labour government before that, so no one can really complain about it because it was either purchased before political parties at all, or if it's more modern, I mean, it could have been bought under the Whig Party or the purely Liberal Party or that other party that we discovered on the live show, which I've forgotten. forget what they were called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so basically, no one can really whinge about it. Although, given the way the government's going, I'm sure they will try and privatise the monarchy soon. So when the Queen's having her,
Highest bidder.
yeah, the Queen's being administered by capita. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that idea. Well, in you got to realise in America, it's whoever gets paid the most who's the head of state. So essentially, they do have a leader that's bought for them. So essentially, they have privatised the head of state in America.
I mean, it is the ultimate form of capitalism, so I think they should really be celebrating the complete fulfilment of the American dream. But yeah, so other stuff that was in the Queen's speech.
Yeah.
Some interesting stuff, actually. I mean, to an extent, I was wondering. I mean, once we knew the Conservatives had a majority, we roughly knew what was going to be in the Queen's speech. So obviously, it's basically the manifesto. But
yeah.
I was interested to see what they would actually go through with, because obviously, pre-election, everyone was assuming there was going to be a coalition. So everyone was basically hoping they could make outlandish promises, and then not deliver on any of them. So they could say, oh, well, we would have done, but there's these 2 Liberal Democrat MPs, and because of them, we're going to have to make you all poor. But we wanted to make you rich, honestly, guys. Those sneaky Liberals. So I was interested. I mean, interestingly, something that wasn't in there is the human rights.
Well, I've heard on the grapevine that they're scrapping the British Bill of Rights. There are so many people in Britain against what they're going to do rather than scrap. So they're going to keep the Human Rights Act from the European Union, but they're going to empower the British courts more to enforce the law of England and sort of give them more power rather than the European Courts of Justice. So it's a kind of other side of the same coin, really, is that whilst they're not going to officially repeal the Human Rights Act, they're going to ensure that it won't become a nuisance, if you see what I mean. Like, it's not. Yeah. They're not officially getting rid of it because the British public are against it completely. But what they're going to do is sort of say, well, look, we'll keep it, and we clearly don't want you to hate us for getting rid of it. But what we're going to do is allow the British courts more leeway when it comes to dealing with the European Courts of Justice, so they've got more power. So I can see it is a compromise. It's got sort of 50-50 between what the Conservative government wanted and what the people want. But ultimately, I think the people have won out here. We're not going to get rid of the Human Rights Act, and I seriously doubt that anything that comes from the British courts being empowered, I don't think that will make that much difference in total.
No, that makes sense. Some of the stuff I was hearing as well is that because we're bound by it on several levels, so it's whatever the most recent European treaty was. I should have googled this. I'm sorry. But even if we revoked that treaty, we'd still be bound by it by more previous treaties, which sort of the ones involved with the purely trade side before Europe started growing. And then there's also issues as well within our own law about how the adoption of that law was passed through the Westminster system and then also passed separately through things like the Welsh Assembly and the Scottish government and that. There's definitely there's some SNP MPs on BBC News Today saying that it would have to be done at sort of all 3 levels. So basically, it would have just been an absolute nightmare legally.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one anyway, because the whole point of the European Court is that it's like absolutely sovereign over other countries' legal systems, which is kind of the problem with it, because it means that your national your elected body is no longer sovereign. That's for people who are anti-Europe. That is one of the arguments that they have, that you can't. You either think that's a good thing or you think that's a bad thing. And it's not illogical to be worried about that. But equally, the people who want Europe to mesh ever closer to make everything easier, you can see why they're in favour of it. It's a there's no point getting bogged down if it's good or bad. Those are the two sides of the argument, and there is a line of logic behind both of them.
Yeah,
What's weird is that it seems this is probably going to be one of the most uneducated comments I ever make on this podcast. At least I hope it is. But it's going to make me sound like such a little Englander. But it honestly seems that it's one of those situations where it seems like we're sometimes the only country who seems to be actually following the rules. Because in Germany, European court rulings have an advisory level.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you can, the judges, I don't know what it's called, for Bundescourt or something. I honestly don't know. Like the Bundesliga. I mean, Bundesliga's got some great footballers, so the Bundescourt have got some great judges.
I know.
But so they take it as an advisory level. But we seem to, if a ruling's made, we seem to be just completely go in and accept it, which I thought was technically the point. So I don't know if it's basically us being idiots and sort of not administering a level of intellectual flexibility to say well, yeah, that's basically what they want. Obviously, we're not going to say, oh well, European Court said murder is wrong. Well, I think it's great. That's not what we're going to be doing. But I'm not sure if I'm starting to think more that this is kind of irrelevant anyway, because all we have to do is just decide not to be totally subservient to it. So it's such a weird issue.
No, I do see your point. I do see a logic behind it. Sort of, as you say, we're the only ones following the rules, and it kind of makes no sense if one person's doing it. But my point that I was going to say to counter your argument about sort of having this unelected body overruling an elected body, we do appoint MEPs. As a continent, as the EU, we appoint MEPs, so they are still elected. And our representatives, essentially, in the European Union, are predominantly UKIP, or not predominantly UKIP, but we've elected some anti-European people to the European Parliament, and that shows that as a country we're not entirely happy with the rights that we have within Europe. Probably because we're a net contributor to the EU rather than a net
beneficiary.
Beneficiary, that's the word I'm looking for. Nice, that's the longest word you said so far today.
Thanks, fam. Safe.
But yeah, so we're not a net beneficiary, we're a net contributor. But I think, to be honest with you, I'd rather be a net contributor, which shows that our economy's strong, our government's strong, our relationship with other European countries is also strong. I'd much rather be a net contributor than a net beneficiary, which shows, we're weaklings, our defence budget isn't worth it.
I don't know if that was a good phrase to use.
What, weakling?
Think about Bulgaria and Hungary, they're weaklings.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Bulgaria and Hungary, but I'm talking about Italy and Greece and Spain. These countries bleed the EU dry. And I think it's right that we should be helping them because we trade with them on a daily basis. And we trade with them on a minute-by-minute basis. So we should be ensuring their economies don't tank. We should be contributing to their farming subsidies to help their economy get back on its feet, so they become a net contributor in the future. I'm proud of our position in Europe. I just don't think that.
Excellent. So to continue without any sort of break, we were chatting. Yeah, what we were talking about. Yeah, European Court taking precedence and how basically it doesn't actually need to. So, what I thought was an issue with some validity turns out to be completely pointless because it's our fault. So basically, this was a complete waste of time. They could have been talking about something important on air, like celebrity gossip. But
well, let's move on to that, shall we?
Well, we'll just blast through the rest of the Queen's speech quickly. Benefit cap going down to 23 grand. 30 hours of free childcare for 3 and 4 year olds, up from 15. A ban on income tax, VAT and national insurance increases for 5 years, so the whole Parliament. Freeze on working age benefits. The more devolution for Scotland, and English votes for English laws, and English and Welsh votes for English and Welsh laws. 500 more free schools it says 500 more free schools and more failing and coasting schools turned into academies. This coasting thing, it turns out that if your school stays the same for a number of years, then it's considered to be coasting, like, which I appreciate is probably a bad thing. But if your school is doing, because I think the Ofsted is like very good, needs improvement, and bad.
Outstanding, good, needs improving, and bad. Yeah.
But if you get good for 4, 5 years in a row, like, yes, you are technically coasting, but it's a good school. Like, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit intervention for intervention's sake. If it's, you know, it's like exams. Yes, if you get 69.8%, you're very disappointed you didn't get an A, and if you get 70.1%, you're very lucky to have got an A. But you got an A, or in this case, I guess it's a B. Like, if you get a B, you shouldn't be punished for getting Bs. Like, it's just, yes, you could do better, but you're not doing badly. You're not failing people.
Yeah, you're not a bad school. You're just not improving. And I suppose that's the whole point there, is to encourage improvement. But at the same time, you know, if all schools improve, then the rating system changes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You get a band of marks in your GCSE where sort of everyone's got sort of 75% and above in a paper. That means your D grade is going to be sort of 71%, and then your C grade is going to be 75%, and then your B grade is going to be 81%, and then your A grade is going to be 85%, and you know, it goes up like that. So naturally, the test will become more stringent if everyone improves. So I suppose that's the whole point, is that, you know, if coasting schools were good, they become outstanding. It drags everybody up, which then sort of brings them back down a rating system because the standard across the board's been dragged up.
I guess that's a good theory, but I just don't think it works. The idea of constant target setting and the kind of capitalist idea that efficiency can always be improved and everything can always be improved simply isn't the case. There's no reason to suspect that humans now are any better or worse at schooling than they were 50 years ago. Now, I appreciate, in terms of the knowledge of mankind, we're so far forward it's ridiculous from 50 years ago. So what, DNA was nearly 60 years ago now, but you see what I'm getting at. 100 years ago we just about knew about hygiene, but you know what I'm saying, because all that leads to is that kind of grade inflation stuff that we see at GCSE, which admittedly I took advantage of, but I still, in the long run, I can accept it's not a good idea.
No.
And also, the final thing we should talk about quickly is the right to buy for housing association tenants, which is a logical thing from a government point of view, because the right to buy your council house was pointless because there were no council houses, because they were all owned by housing associations. So basically about 2 people had the right to buy their council house. I think in my area, I read in like one of the local paper articles that the council only had 2 houses left, and they were both unoccupied. Basically, there were 2 houses which were due to be demolished or something along those lines. So everything had been transferred over to the housing association, except for the 2 houses with no one in them, because they were meant to be demolished. So the right of no one to buy a council house, I mean, I'm totally against the policy. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and all it's going to do is exacerbate the housing crisis. But there is at least, for a completely ridiculous policy, there is a rationale behind it, because it was essentially redundant. It was kind of like the ability of everyone to own their own horse. Like, no one owns a horse anymore.
No, I'm with you on that. No, I'm absolutely with you on that.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, obviously it's going to solve London's housing crisis. That's what I heard on the news today, so that must be true.
It's not. It's going to, as you say, it's going to exacerbate it. As someone who sells houses for a living, all it's going to do is means people are going to buy houses at a knockdown price, go to their estate agent and say it's worth £1 million, and of course they'll have bought it for 250 grand. To say it's worth £1 million, the estate agent will go, no, it's not. And they'll go, well, yes, it is. I got bought at a discount, so I only paid 250,000 for it, so I can sell it now for £1 million. And everybody's going to go, yeah, it's still not worth £1 million.
Yeah, I read online. I would love to know if this is true. I don't normally do homework for this show, but I will try and find out if this is true. Apparently, the percentage of council houses that were sold off during the Thatcher years, which are no longer owned by their tenant, the person who bought them, it's something like 30 to 50%. Now I appreciate that they could have sold and moved on to like a different house, but
Yeah.
the way I was reading the article suggested that a lot of those houses are now owned by landlords and being rented out, which again could in theory be a good thing, but my suspicion is that they're now owned by people who own many houses and rent them all out.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's sort of what Thatcher was trying to do, was sell them on the cheap, so all of her friends could then buy them later on down the line. Yeah.
Well, some people suggested it was just pure vote buying, which it could have been, although your conspiracy theory seems fairly valid. Although, of course, you should never put down to corruption what can be explained by incompetence.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most important things you must always remember when dealing with politicians and the political system. Anyway, that was the Queen's speech. She didn't really stumble too much. She's quite good at public speaking. Is Queen Elizabeth II. So all in all, a good speech. Much better than the King's speech.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did spend a lot of time stuttering in that film.
He certainly did. And I forgot to make my FIFA joke, which I made before we started broadcasting.
Oh no!
No, FIFA.
I was still looking forward to laughing for a second time at that joke as well.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just sort of outline the vague tenets of the joke. So basically, there's a FIFA corruption scandal, and the joke was going to be that if there's problems with people in FIFA, you should just ban them from Xbox Live or PlayStation Network. You know, thus missing the whole joke entirely.
Wait.
Yeah, what I'll do there is edit those two together. No, I won't. I mean, that's quite a good acting laugh, actually. I'm starting to think maybe this podcast has been boring for the last 4 months, and you're just quite good at pretending to laugh. Anyway, we will quickly cover US politics, because there's a second Democrat in the race for Democratic Party candidate. So it's Hillary Clinton, and then the second person isn't Monica Lewinsky. It is in fact Bernie Sanders, who is a US Senator from Vermont. And I've been to Vermont, and it's a lovely place. It's like a cross between the Lake District and the Peak District. So it's more hilly than the Peak District, but less hilly than the Lake District, the bit I went to, where there are mountains in it. So
I must admit, I love how you're talking your general synopsis of an entire state, which itself is probably twice the size of Great Britain anyway.
Well, it's actually one of the smaller states, and it has mountains and ski resorts in. But the bit I was in was like lovely rolling foresty hills. So I'd strongly recommend it.
Vermont is what I've seen of it in Super Troopers.
But yeah, Vermont is a great place. But yeah, so good luck to Mr. Bernie Sanders running against Hillary Clinton. Anyway,
like any Democrat that comes forward. I mean, come on, all the Democrats just seem like the nicest people. I mean, I know Hillary Clinton, like, I wouldn't describe her as nice. I'd describe her as pretty ferocious and probably deserving of the top job. But all the rest of the Democrats are sort of, I mean, they're just a lovely group of people, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, so there's other candidates here, according to the Wikipedia page. There's Jeff Boss, a 9/11 truther and perennial candidate from New Jersey.
He keeps running in every election.
9/11 truthers were people who believe that 9/11 was a setup.
Is there not a link on the Wikipedia article?
9/11 Truth Movement, and also Robbie Wells, former head football coach at Savannah State University, a candidate for the 2012 presidential nomination of the Constitution Party. Savannah State, adherents of 9/11 Truth Movement are conspiracy theorists who dispute the mainstream account of the September the 11th attacks. Surely that can't play out well with a vast majority of the American population.
No, I don't think it's going to get that many votes.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it was over 2,000 dead. It was a tragedy by any state. Yeah. Anyway, so that's enough American politics. So finally we get around to celebrity gossip.
Yes!
Celebrity gossip, I think what we're going to do is we're going to redo this segment. So basically I'm going to come up with some really good celebrity gossip rather than just ignoring it, and we'll see if you care. So basically
let's do that.
Yeah. One of the girls from Little Mix tweeted a photo, and people thought it was a wedding dress. It was actually her prom dress when she was, 15 or 16, because they got famous young, Little Mix. So people thought she was getting married, and she wasn't.
Cool.
Good
I don't
gossip
think they're
there.
that young though. I
No,
don't remember them being
they're
that
19
young.
or 20 now. I'm sure they got famous, and some of them were under 18. So
No. I'm pretty sure they were all the three. I think there are three members of Little Mix. I'm pretty
well, there
sure
were
they're all
four.
late 20s, early 30s. I'm pretty sure. Or like one of them's young, but the other two are quite old.
I'm confident you're wrong on this. I'm googling the ages of Little Mix now.
That's really questionable.
Nice. I mean, I know the NSA will be listening to this because they listen to everything, but
There are four of them. Hang on a second.
genres: pop, R&B, and hip hop.
Yep, hip. Yeah. Hang on, who are the members? There we go. 21, 23, 23, and 22. I know, well then I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. I take it back.
But they formed in 2011, which was 4 years ago. So yeah, one of them would have been 17.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, absolutely right.
I knew what I told you they were young when they got famous. I forgot how time flies. Obviously, it's like the last couple of series of X Factor meant nothing to me, and I haven't watched since Little Mix.
I'm sorry. I bow to your greater knowledge of useless pop information. Thank you for that.
So yeah, that was celebrity gossip. Does that officially make her a troll?
What do you mean?
Well, she posted a photo like that. She's kind of just trolling her fans. So
I see your point there. No. Trolling.
like,
she tweeted someone with the picture of the wedding dress, who, her boyfriend of like 3 weeks, and troll her with the pictures. Check this out, and it's like thinking it's the wedding dress, and it's actually the prom dress. That's trolling. That is.
Yeah, that's next level trolling. To be fair, that would be incredible trolling. If they did that, I would probably become a fan of Little Mix just for the crack,
What?
even though
You're not a fan already. You
I
know
mean,
how old they are, man. Either that, or we should be having you on some sort of register.
I knew that they were young. That's it.
That's what this has descended into, this podcast.
Yeah, but because one of them is from Wickham, which is very near me, and so that's how I knew it, because she was in the Bucksbury Press, and it was like, honestly, I remember it was something like local girl does good in X Factor or something like that. But anyway, I mean, wow. So yeah, we've covered politics and US politics, which I think we should sort of branch out into, and celebrity gossip. So all in all, a very good podcast. Next week,
was that it for celebrity gossip? Just Little Mix tweeting a prom dress. Come on, dude. You've got to give me more than that.
They're one of the UK's premier R&B, pop, and hip hop groups.
I'm sure they are, but it's not really sort of celebrity gossip. Someone tweeted a picture of a dress.
But they are officially celebrities.
It would be more interesting if it was the dress, the blue and black or white and gold dress. That's like fascinating, because it was both for me at various points in the day, whether I was feeling happy or sad or miserable or sort of elated. You know, I'm just using different words to describe exactly the same emotions, but you know, it was one of those things. You know, that's an interesting dress to photograph. I mean, if some member of Little Mix just randomly decides to tweet a photo of a dress, you kind of think, meh.
Yeah. Well, also Kim Ye had their 1 year anniversary, so
I thought they redid their vows on their 1 year anniversary.
They did, which I think is a little bit suspicious. If you want to redo your vows on like your 20th wedding anniversary or 25th or even 10th, you know, like a big milestone.
Yeah.
I can see why people would do that. It's sort of really romantic thing to do. But all that makes me think is that Kim Kardashian was the kind of lady who was upset a month after her and Kanye started going out because Kanye had forgotten their 1 month anniversary.
Yeah.
That's all I can think in that particular situation.
I'm definitely with you on that one. It's one of those things where you just think, really? Really? Like this is how we're doing it? You're going to renew your vows after a year? No.
You don't think Kanye's just really forgetful, do you?
He wakes up in the morning and looks in the mirror and goes, I'm married to you. And then, you know, Kim Kardashian pops her head around and goes, to me? And he just goes, yeah, that's exactly who I was talking to. Yeah, you.
That, or Kanye West has a 364-day memory, which would be a bit like 50 First Dates, but, 364 times as slow. But yeah, so anyway, that's everything covered. So thank you very much for watching. I feel we should try and get a guest on next week. I feel we've done enough of these now, but like a change to the formula, people will know that it's a change from the usual formula.
Yeah,
so,
I'm with you on that one. I think we should invite someone else. Should we get Tom Ritchie involved?
We could try, or we could try and get some hot babes.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not just running the show.
No. Do you know any?
I might get my girlfriend involved, but again on that one, I don't think she'd be up for it. And also, her internet connection is worse than yours.
Also, she binned us off already once. It was like, "Do you want to come on?" She was like, "Oh, I'm busy." It's like you're watching it. It's like, "Oh, still busy."
I'm busy watching you. I don't want to be involved. Anyway.
Time to end the show. See you.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, see you at some point in the future.